Tom Petty was never the kind of musician people labeled a guitar hero. He wasn't known for flashy solos or technical fireworks. He was a songwriter, the storyteller, the unmistakable voice behind Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. But behind those unforgettable songs was a deep respect for guitar playing. Petty truly understood the craft, and he studied great guitarists the way a devoted student studies masters. In recent years, stories have surfaced about Tom Petty's 10 favorite guitarists of all time. But according to insiders, these weren't simple fanboy choices. These were the musicians who shaped his sound, influenced his songwriting, and allegedly stirred up jealousy, insecurity, and hidden tension. Some claim Petty admired these guitar legends so intensely that it created anxiety and self-doubt he couldn't escape. Today, we're breaking down Tom Petty's top 10 favorite guitarists and the rumored emotions and rivalries behind each one. Let's get into it. 10. Duane Allman. Tom Petty adored Duane Allman's slide guitar work. To him, it was pure sorcery. The way Allman knit a guitar wail and whisper, especially on classics like Layla, fascinated Petty for decades. The Allman Brothers Band defined the sound of Southern rock, and Petty absorbed every ounce of that influence. He called Allman one of the most soulful guitarists to ever live, but allegedly, that respect came with deep insecurity. Sources say Petty often compared himself to Allman and always felt like the amateur in the room. Some insiders claim he avoided playing slide guitar altogether because Allman set a standard he believed he could never reach. Coming from Florida, Petty always felt connected to Southern rock, but also reportedly feared he didn't have Allman's natural authenticity. The admiration was real, but so was the shadow Allman cast over him.
9. George Harrison. George Harrison wasn't just Petty's hero. He was his friend and bandmate in the Traveling Wilburys. Harrison's melodic, thoughtful style shaped Petty's jangly guitar sound more than almost anyone else. Petty spoke about Harrison with genuine warmth, calling him one of rock's most underappreciated guitarists. But even friendship didn't erase the rumored jealousy. Sources claim Petty sometimes felt overshadowed, even when they were working side by side. Harrison's Beatles legacy was so enormous that anything he touched turned iconic. Insiders say Petty admired that power, but also quietly wished he had it. Behind the scenes, the competition allegedly surfaced during sessions. Petty reportedly pushed for bigger guitar moments to keep up with Harrison. Their brotherhood was real, but so was Petty's struggle to stand next to a Beatle without feeling small.
8. Keith Richards. To Tom Petty, Keith Richards was the ultimate rhythm guitar architect. Those gritty riffs from Satisfaction to Brown Sugar defined rock and roll. Petty studied Richards endlessly, trying to capture that same swagger. The Heartbreakers' guitar style owed a huge debt to the Rolling Stones, and Petty openly admitted it. But the admiration came with a price. Critics constantly compared Petty to Richards. Every review mentioned the Stones. Every interview brought up the influence. According to insiders, this drove Petty up the wall. He didn't mind being inspired by Richards, but he hated being labeled a copycat. Some say Petty privately argued that he had his own style and was tired of journalists pretending he was just reinventing Richards' riffs. Publicly, he showed nothing but love, but allegedly, he resented the comparisons he could never escape. 7. Mike Campbell. Mike Campbell wasn't just the bandmate. He was Tom Petty's musical soulmate. Their partnership built the Heartbreaker sound as much as Petty's own voice. Petty frequently praised Campbell as an irreplaceable genius. But behind the compliments, rumors say jealousy quietly grew. Campbell was the guitar hero Petty never claimed to be. Fans and musicians worshipped Campbell's work, and insiders say Petty sometimes felt overshadowed in his own band. Reports claim he occasionally shortened Campbell's solos on stage, or pushed them back in the mix. Others say Petty made sure interviews focused on him, not the guitarist standing to his right. The love was genuine. The tension, allegedly, was too. 6. Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck represented everything Tom Petty knew he couldn't be. Beck's technique, innovation, and emotional power were almost superhuman. Petty admired him deeply, calling him one of the greatest guitarists ever. But admiration turned into insecurity. Sources say Petty avoided events with technical players because he felt outclassed. Insiders claim he once admitted he couldn't perform even 10% of what Beck could. To protect himself, Petty allegedly dismissed hyper-technical playing as missing the soul. Not because he believed it, but because he needed to feel better about his own limitations. He respected Jeff Beck enormously, but Beck's brilliance was a mirror Petty didn't always want to look into. 5. Scotty Moore. Scotty Moore connected Petty directly to the birth of rock and roll. Moore's legendary guitar work behind Elvis Presley set the blueprint for everything that followed. Petty worshipped Moore's tasteful, clean, rockabilly approach. But according to sources, Moore's life story haunted Petty. Moore never got the credit he deserved, despite creating the language of early rock guitar. Insiders say Petty feared he might meet a similar fate. Foundational, respected, but forgotten over time. Moore's influence was profound and personally frightening. 4. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix lived in a universe of his own. Tom Petty didn't just admire Hendrix, he was in absolute awe. Hendrix revolutionized guitar playing forever. Petty openly said Hendrix was incomparable, a once-and-forever kind of genius. But Hendrix's brilliance intimidated Petty so much that he never even attempted to play in his style. Insiders say Petty joked that competing with Hendrix was like trying to compete with gravity, pointless and impossible. Hendrix inspired him, but also reminded him of the limits he could never overcome. 3. Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry didn't just influence rock, he invented it. Petty studied Berry the way musicians study scripture. He believed Berry wrote the rule book for every guitarist who came after. But matching Berry's magic? That was impossible. Sources say Petty practiced Berry's licks for years, but always felt like he was chasing something he could never fully grasp. He could copy the notes, but not the slang, the swagger, the ease. Insiders claim this gap frustrated him deeply. Berry represented the unreachable standard Petty lived in the shadow of. Number 2. Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley created the primal heartbeat of rock, the rhythm that changed everything. Petty loved Diddley's raw power and spent years championing him in interviews. He believed Diddley was criminally underrated. But Diddley's lack of recognition hit Petty personally. Insiders claim Petty feared the same fate, respected by musicians but forgotten by the public. Diddley's story became a mirror for Petty's own insecurities about legacy, relevance, and historical memory. Roger McGuinn was Tom Petty's biggest guitar influence, the one person who shaped his identity more than anyone else. McGuinn's 12-string Rickenbacker sound defined the Byrds and created the jangly guitar style Petty later became famous for. They became close friends, and Petty praised him endlessly. But this influence came with a heavy burden. According to insiders, Petty privately admitted he always felt like he was living in McGuinn's shadow. Critics often called Petty derivative, and those comments reportedly cut him to the bone. Petty is rumored to have confessed that McGuinn did it first and did it better. Their friendship was real, but so is the weight of McGuinn's influence on Petty's entire musical identity. There you have it, Tom Petty's 10 favorite guitarists filled with admiration, inspiration, and the alleged emotional struggles behind each one. Which guitarist on this list surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more untold stories from the world of rock.